Welcome everyone to Notorious Crime Stories channel, where we dive deep into mysterious criminal cases, uncovering gripping details that will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last moment. If you love solving crimes and thrilling detective stories, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Notorious Crime Stories.
The assassinations of American presidents have not only shaken the nation's history, but also left behind mysteries still unsolved. From the tragic death of Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater to the controversial killing of John F. Kennedy on the streets of Dallas. But who were these assassins really? Were they solitary assassins, or is there more lurking beneath the surface? Step into the shadows with us as we explore some of the most intense and pivotal moments in American history. First, President Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was the leader who guided the nation through the brutal Civil War and played a key role in ending slavery. On a fateful night, April 14, 1865, the United States witnessed one of the most tragic events in its history, the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. It was Friday, April 14, 1865, on Good Friday. President Lincoln and his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, went to Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. to watch the play, Our American Cousin. It was a calm and peaceful evening, with the whole city celebrating the recent victory of the Union forces in the American Civil War. The perpetrator of the assassination, John Wilkes Booth, was a well-known actor and a fervent supporter of the South. Booth could not accept the South's defeat and despised President Lincoln, whom he saw as the symbol of the South's downfall and the end of slavery. Booth meticulously planned the assassination, viewing it as an act of revenge for the South. That evening, Booth entered Ford's Theater without arousing suspicion. As a familiar face and famous actor, Booth was well acquainted with the staff and even had access to areas reserved for actors. He easily entered the president's box, a prominent location on the second floor with a prime view of the stage. When the moment arrived, Booth stood directly behind President Lincoln, raised a .41 caliber Derringer pistol, and fired. The bullet struck Lincoln in the head, causing him to collapse immediately. The gunshot rang out, stunning and terrifying the audience. Mary Todd Lincoln and those nearby were shocked and hadn't yet processed the horrific event unfolding before them. Immediately after pulling the trigger, Booth shouted, "Sic semper tyrannis," a Latin phrase meaning, "thus always to tyrants." He then jumped down onto the stage in an attempt to escape. However, when Booth jumped, his foot got tangled in a flag draped over the balcony, causing him to fall and break his leg. Despite the pain, Booth managed to flee the scene, mounted a horse, and rode off. Immediately following the assassination, U.S. authorities launched a relentless manhunt to capture Booth. Finally, after 12 days on the run, Booth was found hiding in a barn in Virginia. When police surrounded him, Booth resisted, and during the confrontation, he was shot dead by a member of the capture team. President Lincoln was taken to a nearby house after the shooting, where he was cared for by the best doctors, but he never regained consciousness. At 7:22 a.m. on April 15, 1865, Abraham Lincoln drew his last breath. News spread rapidly across the country, plunging the entire nation into mourning. The assassination not only claimed a brilliant leader, but left a significant void in the hearts of the American people, especially at a time when the country had just emerged from war. Lincoln's death left a profound gap and many unanswered questions. He was not only a visionary leader with a firm commitment to abolishing slavery, but he also symbolized hope during difficult times. The assassination complicated the Reconstruction process, as the nation was unprepared to lose a dedicated leader like Lincoln. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most tragic events in U.S. history, an event that deeply transformed the nation. From Lincoln's passing, America gained a deeper understanding of the value of unity and the dangers that arise when hatred and division reach a peak. Next is President William McKinley. The assassination of President William McKinley on September 6, 1901, stands as one of the most notable and shocking events in early 20th century American history. McKinley, the 25th President of the United States, was shot during a public reception at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. The incident sent shockwaves across the nation and led to increased security measures for future presidents. McKinley had a steady political career with prominent policies, particularly in commerce and foreign affairs. In 1901, during his second term, he attended the Pan American Exposition to promote America's economic and industrial progress. On September 6th, he participated in a public event at the Temple of Music, where citizens could come and shake hands with the president. While McKinley was greeting citizens, Leon Czolgosz, an American of Polish descent and an anarchist, approached him. Czolgosz concealed a pistol in a handkerchief in his right hand and fired 2 shots at the president's chest. One bullet struck McKinley's chest, but the second hit his abdomen, piercing his stomach and liver. McKinley immediately collapsed but remained composed enough to say, "Don't let them hurt him," as security personnel subdued Czolgosz. McKinley was quickly transported to a temporary hospital at the fair, where doctors performed surgery to save his life. However, medical limitations at the time meant his abdominal wound became severely infected. For several days afterward, McKinley's health seemed to improve, giving hope that he would recover. Yet on September 13th, his condition unexpectedly worsened, and he passed away on the morning of September 14th from gangrene and septic shock. Czolgosz confessed, stating his motivation stemmed from a hatred of the government and the policies favoring the wealthy. He believed assassinating the president was a way to strike back against injustice. Czolgosz was swiftly tried, sentenced to death, and executed by electric chair on October 29, 1901. After McKinley's death, Vice President Theodore Roosevelt assumed the presidency. This transition marked a significant turning point in American history, as Roosevelt would become one of the country's most notable reformers, known for progressive policies that shaped modern America. Roosevelt also initiated various changes to presidential security, establishing long-term protective measures for national leaders. McKinley's assassination was a profound wake-up call about the vulnerability of national leaders, even during public events. Security protocols were subsequently tightened, with the president's office instituting various rules and regulations to ensure leaders' safety. Furthermore, this tragedy became the initial catalyst for numerous national policy changes, as McKinley's successor, Theodore Roosevelt, implemented key social and economic reforms. The assassination of President William McKinley was not only a personal tragedy, but also a major historical milestone, profoundly influencing American politics and national security in the decades that followed. Next is President John F. Kennedy. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, marks one of the most tragic events in American history. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, was visiting Dallas, Texas, to garner support for his administration ahead of the 1964 election. While parading through downtown in an open-top limousine, Kennedy became the target of a shocking attack. As the limousine carrying Kennedy, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, and Texas Governor John Connally moved along Elm Street, gunshots were fired from the Texas School Book Depository. Around 12:30 p.m., 2 bullets struck Kennedy, inflicting fatal injuries. One bullet hit his neck, while the other struck his head, rendering him unconscious immediately. Following the shooting, the limousine rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital, but efforts to save him were unsuccessful. At 1 p.m., doctors confirmed that President Kennedy had passed away. Just hours after the assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald, an employee at the Texas School Book Depository, was arrested as a suspect in the incident. Oswald had previously lived in the Soviet Union and had connections with leftist organizations, leading many to believe his motives might have been politically driven. However, on November 24, 1963, while being transferred to jail, Oswald was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner. This incident fueled further suspicion as to whether Oswald was the only individual involved in the assassination. The Warren Commission was established to investigate the assassination and concluded that Oswald acted alone, without assistance from others. Yet, this conclusion was not universally accepted, sparking numerous conspiracy theories. Some theories implicated the CIA, the Mafia, and even political figures who allegedly saw Kennedy as a threat to their interests. These doubts made the Kennedy assassination one of the most controversial events in American history. Kennedy's assassination not only left a profound sense of loss for the nation, but also fostered deep mistrust in the government and investigative agencies. The event fundamentally altered America's political and social landscape in the years that followed. Leaders faced growing public distrust and had to work to rebuild that confidence. Moreover, the assassination ushered in a new era in American politics, leading to movements demanding transparency and accountability from the government. Decades after the assassination, questions about motives, individuals involved, and the sequence of events continue to spark debate. The assassination of President Kennedy is not merely a personal tragedy, but also a historic event with lasting, far-reaching impacts on the nation and the world. This case remains a major mystery in American history, drawing ongoing interest and investigation from historians, investigators, and truth-seekers alike. Next is the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. The attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan took place on March 30, 1981, just 2 months after he took office as the 40th President of the United States. Reagan was shot outside the Washington Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C., in an attack intended to impress actress Jodie Foster. This incident is one of the most well-known assassination attempts in modern times, leading to major changes in presidential security and raising concerns about the safety of the nation's leader. The attacker, John Hinckley Jr., a young man with clear signs of mental instability, believed that shooting Reagan would draw the attention of actress Jodie Foster. As President Reagan left the Washington Hilton after delivering a speech at the AFL-CIO Labor Federation, Hinckley, waiting in the crowd, fired 6 consecutive shots aimed at the president. The first bullet struck White House Press Secretary James Brady, causing severe head injuries and leaving him paralyzed. The second hit police officer Thomas Delahanty. The third and fifth bullets ricocheted off the presidential limousine. The fourth bullet struck Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy, who was shielding Reagan, and the sixth bullet deflected off the left side of the president, piercing his lung and lodging near his heart. Initially, Reagan did not realize he had been shot, but upon noticing he was coughing up blood, he understood the severity of his injury. The Secret Service rushed him to George Washington University Hospital, where doctors performed emergency surgery to stop the bleeding and treat his severe lung injury. At first, Reagan was unaware of the gunshot wound and felt only chest pain as the Secret Service quickly pushed him into a car to evacuate. When he saw blood while coughing, he realized he was injured and was taken straight to George Washington University Hospital. At the hospital, Reagan underwent nearly 2 hours of emergency surgery to address his lung injury and stop the bleeding. Throughout, he remained optimistic, even lightening the mood by telling the surgeon, "I hope you're all Republicans." Reagan's quick recovery after surgery, aided by his strong health and resilient spirit, allowed him to be discharged only 12 days later. In the aftermath, James Brady, the most seriously injured victim, became a prominent advocate for gun control, leading to the 1993 Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, which mandated background checks for gun buyers. John Hinckley Jr. stood trial, but was found not guilty because of insanity and was committed to a mental hospital for many years. Following extended treatment, he was released in 2016 under strict conditions. This attempted assassination led to significant changes in how the U.S. president is protected. The Secret Service modified its protection methods and strengthened security for the president's public appearances. Additionally, the incident highlighted the urgent need for firearm control, particularly concerning individuals with a history of mental illness. The attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan showcased his resilience and optimism, reinforcing his image as a strong, steadfast leader and earning him further support and admiration from the American public. On July 13, 2024, Donald Trump, former U.S. president and then presumptive Republican candidate for the 2024 presidential election, survived an assassination attempt while speaking at an outdoor campaign rally near Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump sustained an injury to his upper right ear from a young man in his 20s who fired 8 rounds from an AR-15 style rifle from a nearby rooftop. The shooter, identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, also killed a rally attendee and seriously injured 2 others. Crooks was subsequently shot and killed by the U.S. Secret Service's counter-sniper team. As gunfire erupted, Trump covered his ear and took cover behind the podium while Secret Service agents shielded him until the shooter was neutralized. Photos taken by Evan Vucci, an Associated Press photographer, captured images of Trump with blood on his face and ear, raising his fist and shouting, "Fight!" as agents escorted him off stage. These images quickly went viral on social media. Trump was treated at a hospital and discharged later that day. He made his first public appearance following the shooting 2 days later at the 2024 Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, wearing a bandage on his ear. Trump was immediately taken to Butler Memorial Hospital for examination following the shooting. The Secret Service coordinated with hospital officials to initiate a lockdown, using an emergency protocol previously devised when Trump had spoken at a nearby rally in 2020. The lockdown lasted around 3 hours, with law enforcement from the Secret Service, FBI, Homeland Security, Pittsburgh Police, and Butler Police securing the hospital entrances. Shortly after Trump's arrival, a Secret Service spokesperson confirmed his safety. The shooting also affected several bystanders. Corey Comparatore, a 50-year-old project engineer and former director of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Department from Sarver, Pennsylvania, was killed by stray gunfire. 2 other male attendees, aged 57 and 74, were also shot and seriously wounded. Trump's campaign organized a GoFundMe fundraiser for rally attendees who were injured or killed, raising over $2 million as of July 14th. On July 14th, the FBI identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, roughly an hour's drive from the rally site. Crooks is believed to have acted alone. The rifle he used was legally purchased by his father in 2013 and sold to Crooks in October 2023. He had no prior criminal record, and the FBI reported there were no indications that Crooks had mental health issues. Trump attended the RNC on July 15th with a bandage covering his entire right ear. Some attendees at the convention wore mock ear bandages, with a Republican strategist telling the Washington Post, "It's a surreal moment that people are still processing, and this is a visible show of unity in a political meme-worthy moment. The incident is the most serious attempt to assassinate a sitting president or presidential candidate in the United States since Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981. Political scientists, historians, and many political figures from both the Democratic and Republican parties point to the shooting as a consequence of political polarization in the United States. The shooting led to widespread sympathy for Trump on social media, and public figures across the political spectrum, both domestically and internationally, called for a de-escalation of tensions and condemned the assassination attempt. Just 2 months after the first assassination attempt, a shooting reportedly occurred at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida, around 2 p.m. on September 15th, while former President Donald Trump was present. A local police leader stated that a Secret Service agent had spotted a gun barrel pointed out from a fence at the Trump International Golf Club, approximately 300 to 500 meters from where Trump was standing. The police then fired shots and apprehended the suspect. Trump's campaign stated that he was evacuated in time and remained safe after what was believed to be the second assassination attempt against him. The suspect, Ryan Ruth, a white man, had been hiding outside the fence and was armed with a rifle while the Republican presidential candidate was golfing in West Palm Beach, Florida. On September 23rd, U.S. prosecutors reported that suspect Ryan Ruth had written a letter describing an assassination plot against Donald Trump and had offered a $150,000 reward for anyone who carried it out. Officials have not yet disclosed the motive for the incident, but the FBI is investigating it as a possible assassination plot against Trump ahead of the presidential election in November. In conclusion, each event leaves deep scars not only for the families and friends of the presidents, but also for the nation as a whole. These assassinations have changed American history, leaving valuable lessons about security, the resilience of a country, and the significance of national leadership during difficult times. This also serves as a reminder of the importance of protecting democracy and remaining vigilant to avoid similar tragedies in the future.